Good morning, everyone. So this video is related to trade as an engine of economic growth, part 1, the lecture that I have provided you yesterday. So in that lecture, what we have talked is that economic growth and development of a country depend mostly on its internal factor. But in today's world, no country is self-sufficient in producing own goods and services. So what we see is that there is a dependency of one country on another. So we want to know that is it possible for the developing country, especially the developing country, to grow, taking trade as a major policy tool, and whether it is possible for on the developing country to follow the same policy or not. Okay, so we look at this topic from the historical perspective, and we have seen various viewpoints related to this, and we started from the mercantilism view, and the mercantilism originated um, as an answer to the feudal system, okay, in the Europe, and it originated around 16th century, and the period that you have mercantilism system is between 16th to 18th century. So according to that view, wealth is wealth or venue is a is derived from precious metal, okay, and like gold, okay, and the venue of this precious metal that derived from gold and other possession is fixed. So according to them, when you trade and you import more than export, you are losing your this kind of precious metal. So they are saying that trade is a zero sum game. So better we have net export positive. Okay. Then there is a some tendency coming up in the system where people are not satisfied with this view, because the nation state is binding up and the regional power is consolidated. So there is a view coming up in the second half of the 18th century in France, okay, and this view we call physiocrat, okay, and they say that wealth is not dependent on this kind of asset, and it is a part of generally wealth is the surplus that you produce in your agriculture sector, okay, and they are not against free trade. They say that some commodity we are not producing, so we can import that commodity, and some commodity we are overproducing, so we can export that thing, okay. So around that time also we have the viewpoint of Adam Smith coming out in the Wealth of the Nation, and he heavily criticized the um, idea of mercantilism, and according to him, trade is not a zero sum game. It is a positive aspect, okay, it has a positive effect on growth of both the countries if trade takes place, okay. So this idea is later on supported by Ricardo and other classical and neo-classical theory also, okay, and on the theory that come up, they say that overall when trade took place, you will have positive effect on both country growth, okay. So previously what we see in the mercantilist system, they say that trade is not beneficial if we have more import, okay, than export, because wealth is given in fixed form. First criticism come in the form of physiocrat. They say that no, we no need to think that wealth is in the form of precious metal. It is in the form of your agriculture surplus, and whatever commodity we are not producing, we can import it from the foreign country. Then the main criticism come from Adam Smith, and he demonstrated through the theory of absolute advantage is that it is possible to have a situation where both countries can gain from trade, okay. Then there is a problem in Adam Smith theory is that if a country can produce a specific commodity, okay, more productively, okay, and if we look at different commodity and in one commodity it can produce thing more effectively, then there is no possibility of trade. Then the answer to this is given by Ricardo, okay, in his comparative advantage theory, where he has shown that for a given resource, okay, a country cannot have comparative advantage in on the commodity, okay. So there he has shown that even when a country is less efficient in producing own goods, okay, still there is a possibility of trade, and both countries can gain from the trade. So these two theory is based on one factor of production, labor, and they have demonstrated that they have demonstrated that on country win gain when trade win took place. Okay, then you have Hexagon theorem, where he has taken two factor of production. He also demonstrated that when trade win take place, there will be a positive gain for both the country, but there will be some gainer and loser. Okay, abundant factor will gain and the scarce factor will lose when you have factor price equalization theorem founding. Okay, so throughout this first part of the analysis, we have seen that the Keynesian and neo-Keynesian framework has shown that trade can be trade can be seen as an engine of growth for both the countries. Then there is a development of what you call kind of means analysis or theory that see the developing countries. Okay, that it is not possible for developing countries to grow to have the same benefit that developed countries are getting. Okay, mainly because the commodity that these developing countries are producing are of the nature that their income inelasticity is net. Okay, and as a result, over the period of time, okay, the price of the commodity not increasing vis-a-vis your manufacturing commodity. So in this regard, Mridan, Nursky, Previs and Singer put up a thesis theory, they argument their formulation. Okay, and according to them, okay, developing country, because they want to grow, they require more of capital goods, semi-finished goods, some inputs that they cannot produce. Okay, so their requirement for import is much higher, okay, than the requirement for the developed country. Also, they are mainly producing primary commodity. Okay, the problem with primary commodity, I will discuss about the technicality of this later on. Okay, the problem with primary commodity is that the market for that, okay, have less income inelasticity. Okay, so over the period of time, okay, what we see is that this developing country, if it want to increase its earning, okay, vis-a-vis the growth vis-a-vis the what you call manufacturing commodity, okay, the country that is producing manufacturing commodity, okay, the price of this primary commodity over the period of time grow as a lesser pace than the price of the manufacturing commodity. Okay, so what is seen is that over the period of time the terms of trade deteriorated for these developing countries. Okay, so in order to keep pace, previous suggested that developing country required to maintain higher volume of primary commodity trade, and it is not possible to do that. Okay, so they suggested that better than relying on export oriented growth, developing countries should rely on import substitution based industrialization, you can say. Okay, so this is one of the argument against taking trade as an engine of growth. Okay, there are mainly two reasons for that. One, because there is more requirement for import to grow. Okay, and second, the terms of trade, when you terms of trade in terms of primary commodity vis-a-vis manufacturing commodity deteriorate over the period of time. Okay, then there is a theoretical concept of emerging growth. Okay, where Jagjit Bhagwati has shown that if growth is taking place in a commodity, okay, that you are exporting, okay, so if there is a growth in that thing, then the price or the terms of trade or the relative price, you can say, of that commodity will fall. Okay, so your export is volume of export times the price of the commodity. Okay, so price is falling, and if the growth of volume is not increasing as much as the fall in price, okay, so if this is not increasing and the fall in your price is higher, okay, then this will worsen your terms of trade. Okay, so in that case, growth in the exporting sector, okay, will have negative impact in your balance of payment, okay, or in your growth. Okay, you can say that. So this is also one of the argument provided that trade cannot be seen as an engine of growth when you have growth in the exporting sector. Then we look at then you have alternative argument also that it can be beneficial also. It is not always the case that terms of trade will outweigh the growth. Okay, growth may be higher and terms of trade, worsening of the terms of trade will not be that. Okay, this is a theoretical framework. You can have different possibility. So one possibility is that foreign terms of trade, okay, is higher than the growth in your export, so there will be a worsening. Second possibility, both are same. Third possibility, that the volume is higher, okay, because because the price of your export commodity falling and volume is so much higher that you are gaining from the trade. So this is one of the beneficial or benefit of trade. And there is one more thing you can say, that there is a growth in the importing goods, and so you are importing less, so terms of trade improving and you are getting higher growth, because you are now, like in developing countries, they can manufacture the thing. So uh, apart from that, there is a argument for export oriented growth, okay, and the origin of it can be traced to 50s and 60s, when Japan and Germany, okay, utilized their industrial base after they destroyed in the World War. You know, on this thing we have done in the growth theory. So they are destroyed in the First World War. So they use their industrial base and they devalue their what you can exchange it. So they have seen a growth rate, okay, and they progress quite well. And during that period of time, developing countries don't have much option. So most of the country follow the strategy of strategy of import substitution based industrialization, okay. So that basically means they want to set up on the industry that is required, okay, rather than exporting those commodities. They want to set up the industry within the country to become self sufficient. So in this export oriented growth strategy, okay, the main means what you call the main you can say that the starting point, okay, for the developing country come around 70s and 80s, okay. And you have the case of East Asian countries, South Korea, then you have Singapore, Taiwan, Hong Kong, okay. So they benefited during that period, 70s and 80s, okay. So what they do, they undervalue the exchange rate, okay. So and also they get technology transfer to produce cars and other electronics items, because without getting technology or without getting technology transfer, some of these countries realize that it is not possible to gain from the export oriented policy, okay. So they gain from that policy. And then later on you have a case of Latin America, okay. They did not put up any kind of national strategy. They just invited the MNCs, okay, and they set up the factories and on that thing. And around that time, around 1994 95, you can say, you have a new wave or new era of globalization coming up, especially in the 90s, okay. And China also means started to get benefit from that, and they have adopted a wide range of what you consider policy measure, like undervaluing the exchange rate, keeping the domestic visit no, restricting the import, okay, setting up a special economic zone, okay. On this thing helps China to grow faster and providing the better environment climate for the businessman, or you can say entrepreneur MNCs, okay. So what we see, they have grow exponentially over the year, okay. And throughout this example, like the example of Germany, Japan, East Asian tiger, then Latin America, then China, we have seen that different country adopted different policy, okay, for export oriented growth. And here also what we see, that in the new wave of or new era of globalization, the partnership or this strategy, there are many players involving, okay. Now MNCs coming up, developed country also put up some restriction in terms of technology transfer, which technology can be transferred, which technology cannot be transferred. Then you have many international organizations coming up also. Then you have the government of the developing country, then they have different organizations. So several players now become a part of this strategy. Okay, so now this cannot be taken as a national strategy. Okay, because you cannot decide, you can, as a national strategy you can provide incentive. Okay, you can provide different kind of incentive, then other country will also provide the same kind of incentive. They also want to attract foreign capital. So as a national strategy you have to take that to be exogenous. We cannot influence right now, the way situation is that we cannot influence the benefit that you can gain by setting up a special economic zone on this kind of thing already taken out. Okay, so if there is some benefit that has to come from export oriented growth, it has to come through exogenously change in the world system. Okay, so this cannot be taken as national strategy. So here also what we have seen that first, in the neo-Keynesian framework, trade can be considered as an engine of growth. Okay, then we see that in the developing country it is not that we can take trade as an engine of growth. There is a dependency on the developed countries for the transfer of technology, capital goods, inputs. Okay, and developing country cannot rely on the export of primary commodity for growth. Okay, then there is a theoretical argument given by Jagjit Bhagwati, and according to that argument we have seen that when there is a growth in the export oriented sector, okay, then there is a case, one case where you have a tendency of terms of trade worsening. Okay, so trade cannot be taken as an engine of growth, and the export oriented policy that is followed up around after 70s, you can say, okay, is also out of bound now for the developing countries. Okay, so upon the scenario for developing country is that trade cannot be taken as an engine of growth. Okay, and till now this is the crux of the entire argument, that for developing country, okay, if they want to grow, okay, or if they want to develop, they have to rely more on internal factor, internal growth, rather than the growth of export. And if there is a growth of export is coming up, okay, so there it cannot be taken as a long term policy goal. Okay, because that factor is exogenous and that factor can move out also. Okay, in the future after 20-30 years that factor can move out. So the main focus is to strengthen the domestic economy, make the internal economy grow, okay, and use that internal factor, okay, to stimulate growth. Okay, I think this lecture, this video will clarify the thing that I have done, because in the PowerPoint you cannot talk and put up the slide, then people will confuse. So I have to read according to the PowerPoint slide. Okay, so I think this video will help you people. So next lecture will be provided soon, and I will inform you in the Telegram group. Okay, thank you.